What's up, everybody? This is Gamecock Mafia Fantasy Football Podcast number 4. We got the last two people on here with me. We got Matt Christian, who's on the screen right now. He actually has been the phallic feaster before. He is. I had to say it, and I think he kept his name for a whole season. With that, so
I'm keeping that.
You're going to keep the name.
A permanent for the foreseeable future, at least.
You're having success, so there's no reason to change it now. You were third or fourth this past year.
I don't know. I think I lost. I think I was tied for like third.
Yeah, good. So no reason to change the name. We also have Dylan, who's going to hop on here hopefully here shortly. He is the most winning team in the league. I actually put a fantasy football win-loss record together, and for the total of the fantasy football history in Gamecock Mafia, Dylan is the most winningest team, and it's not close. So congratulations, Dylan, if you hop on.
Right on time.
7:34
p.m. Exactly when I was supposed to get here. A little fashionably late, in fact.
Hey, man, for someone who's won the league twice, we're going to let it slide.
Yeah. I don't even need to show up at all. I could show up right when you guys are ending and just be like, "What up, bitches?"
Dude, that's just like Dylan though. Like he knew he was late, but he was gonna be at the time he's supposed to be on, so he probably could have been here 10 minutes ago. He's like, "Fuck you, I get on at 8:30."
I mean,
yeah.
Maybe. You know, well, I just wanted to make Seth text me the link one more time.
And that's what I'm here for. I mean, as a trusted commissioner, I'm glad I can send you that multiple times.
That's most of your commissioner duties, is sending texts with links and information.
And making sure I have a spreadsheet to back it all up.
That too. Are we up to date on the spreadsheet with the draft picks and everything?
We are, and everyone has had those draft picks enforced by myself. So you'll be able to go and look at league transaction history, and I have made the trades as a league manager, not as a team owner. So it'll say the league manager did this, the league manager did that, et cetera, et cetera. So if you are not, or if you're missing a draft pick, please let me know. But everyone that in the draft sheet is been updated in the league manager's act.
All right. I think I should be good because I need to know, because I need to trade both my first round picks to Matt for Saquon.
Oh.
I mean, he has number 2 and number 10, I believe.
Yeah, I got 2 and 10, Matt. A lot of young offensive talent in this year's draft, too. It was a good draft for fantasy. A lot of wide receivers out there in good spots.
2 and 10. You got any second-rate keepers? I could use another.
Well, Dylan, to give you an update, I told Matt there was the new poll out there. I'm not sure if you voted or not, but it passed. So we are now going to have 4 members on the defensive side of the ball on our active rosters. So we'll have defensive line, linebacker, defensive back, which will include either safety or cornerback. There will also be a defensive flex, which can be filled by any of those positions. So it's going to be a little different. I've updated the scoring to make sure that it's all equal and fair. A sack's not too crazy versus an interception versus a fumble forced or a fumble recovered. Tackles are going to stay the same. And for every 5 tackles, you'll get the bonus. I think it's a point or a point and a half bonus for every 5 tackles. Just a reiteration to make sure people know the rules and to look at the scoring so you're not caught off guard.
Yeah. Okay. So 1 lineman, 1 linebacker, 1 D-back, and then a flex?
Yep.
Okay.
Nice. Two roster spots have been added to the bench to accommodate for the extra 2 defensive positions, but the IR has not been increased. So we should still only have 3 IR going to the season to make it fair.
I like that. And we're at 8 keepers.
Yep. Next year it'll be 10, and it will not expand more unless the whole league really, really pushes for it. But the idea was to keep this a 10-person keeper over 5 years, so you can make parity within the league at least.
I think keeping it at 10 is a good idea, and eventually we can either expand it or we can just do a purge and start from scratch in like 2024 or something, you know.
That's something to think about.
2024.
Huh?
What's going on in 2024?
I've projected that's when my team is going to start losing steam. So
when Christian McCaffrey is not going to be the RB1.
Yeah, by then Lamar Jackson will have his career-ending injury, and I'm just not going to be in a good spot. George Kittle will be coming down the home stretch.
George Kittle won't be on his rookie deal, and he'll have to get paid somewhere outside of San Francisco.
Yep.
That's fair. Well,
but no, I'd be willing to restart at as opposed to expanding to something that's just ridiculous, like 12 or like a full roster. Like, I don't know. I don't think we need to do a full roster keeper. I think it'd be more exciting to just hit the restart button at that point.
I'd agree with that. I think that a full roster, it'd have to be year round. You'd have to have everything on a different platform that supports it year round, like where ESPN goes in a dark period and actually puts its servers down. I mean, we would have to do a lot to make it a full roster keeper and train.
I really think that mixing it up, even if we're still keeping 8 or 10, mixing up the rest of the players just makes it seem fresh. And if you have a player that you've always wanted on your team and he's not in your squad, you can theoretically just wait. I don't know. I think it just keeps it fresh.
No, I agree.
If it was full, then it would feel almost like a chore to go out and get other players. Whereas now it's like, they'll be there in the draft. I'll look for, I don't know. That's the way I look at it.
I'm with you. I like rolling until we get to 10, seeing how it goes a year or two. If people want to make changes after that, we can make changes. But I wanted to make sure I reiterated the changes that were going to be in effect this upcoming season, because that will matter. Matter right away. And right before you hopped on, we were going into Matt's team and talking about Matt's top 5 running backs. So Matt, lay out your top 3. Who do you think your top 3 running backs for the season, not just your team, but the season are?
Okay. Okay.
All right. Before that, Dylan came up with an interesting idea. I'll give you a first round in Barkley for McCaffrey.
Oh. It's an interesting proposal. I mean, maybe it's just because I own him and I always assume the worst, but I feel like Christian's going to take a small step back just because Carolina's kind of a mess right now, and
got to. He had made 500 points.
Huh?
Yeah, he has to. He had 500 fucking fantasy points as a running back here.
I know.
How can you do that 2 years in a row? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But he did, maybe. I don't
know. I think they're a lot closer than people think.
No, I agree with you, Dylan. I actually when we went through this and me ranking my running backs, I've got a little bit of a controversy at 1 and 2, I guess you would say.
Yeah. I think I do too. 5 was tough for me.
I like Henry first off, maybe because I own him, but
yeah.
Okay, I can see that. I definitely can.
And then Kamara.
I'm not convinced of Kamara at all.
And 3, I would go Elliott, but I don't like Elliott.
Oh,
I don't like fucking Cook either, man. I don't know what it is about either of them. I don't know them at all.
Oh, you don't know them personally?
I'm gonna pick Chubb, man. Throw Chubb in there. No, I'd put Chubb at 5 then.
Okay.
And then Henry at 4, and
who's getting left out?
Mario at 3. I'm leaving out Cook and Elliott and Jones.
Oh wait, so who's your 3?
Chubb, Henry, and who?
Kamara.
Okay, you have Kamara at 3.
Yeah.
Okay, I disagree.
Okay.
I don't even have Kamara in the top 5. The ones I was choosing between the top 5 are Henry, who seems like the obvious choice, and then Jacobs.
Wow.
Jacobs.
Super sneaky. I just feel like he's the only thing that works in that whole offense, and they're going to Las Vegas. A lot of change. I just feel like they're going to lean on him even more than they already leaned on him before.
Hunter Renfrow, sorry.
What?
I said Hunter Renfrow works all day, dude.
Oh God, yeah, I know that's true. Well, him and Hunter Renfrow can carry the
offense. He's fucking 30 years old already. Come on. All right, so Matt, you got Chubb, Henry, and Dylan hit me with Henry, Jacobs, and then.
Well, no. So those were just what was competing for number 5.
Oh, got you. Okay.
Because I have Dalvin at 4. I think I agree with you, Matt. I'm afraid of a little bit of a step back, and honestly, there's just so many questions with the Vikings right now that it's hard to think he's going to have another great year, but he's just going to get so much volume. Zimmer just wants to run, and the offensive line is built to be agile and do screen passes, and he's just – when he's healthy, we're just going to feed him the ball. And so he's 4 for me. And then same with Zeke, he's 3 for me. I'm with you, Matt. I'm a little it seems too good to be true, or like the same formula can't just keep working every single year. But as long as he's down there getting that volume and getting like every goal line carry, including drives where it seems like they literally are just like, we're just going to give it to Zeke the whole drive. And they're like, all right, cool. Like, I think that's still a factor. So that's my 3. But the last guy I wanted to mention who could maybe jump in at that 5 was Eckler.
Yeah, so I'm happy you mentioned him because that was probably my best pick of last draft. And I'm willing to admit that now. I wasn't willing to at the beginning of the year. But
tell me more about Kerryon Johnson, Seth.
Hey, that wasn't a bad trade. That second round pick that I got for Keenan Allen with that got me Austin Eckler. So I will take that.
That was true. So, that's true. But and also the other thing was the I should have taken you up on that TJ Hawkinson trade.
Right away.
I was like, he's going to have a couple more good games. His trade value will build, and instead he just fell asleep the rest of the season.
Yeah, he tanked, and Darren Waller kept coming on. I was like, I can't trade for Hawkinson. Like, I can't do it now.
I know. Damn him.
So my 5 through 3 are a little different. I've got Dalvin at 5 because I agree with what Matt what Dylan said. I think that at the end of the day, on a team that has experience in the running back position with Madison and Cook, it's a committee. They're both going to have value. One being clearly a top 10, like probably top 5 in my mind. The other being back end, like flex-ish.
And maybe the best handcuff in the game.
100%. I also look at the offense and say you replaced arguably the best, I would say at least top 4 route runner in the league with a rookie.
Hell yeah.
And now you have Rudolph and Thielen, who are both aging in their position.
Yep. And we got Irv Smith, the young tight end, who he's coming on. He's showing he looks like a wide receiver.
Sure, but any offense that runs 2 tight end sets most of the time tells me that they're positioned to run the ball. Their tight ends can block. So you're not going to run 2 tight end sets if neither tight end can block. So I see Dalvin being clear-cut 250 carries with 50 targets. And as efficient as he is, I can see him pushing himself up the list at the end of the season. I feel comfortable at putting him number 5 because my number 4 is controversial. Look at the offense, what it could be to what it was. I think Kenyon Drake's going to eat. I think Kenyon's going to be catching – like you've got 3 or 4 wide receiver sets, spreads the field open. DeAndre Hopkins, Larry Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk, Hakeem Butler, Isabella. You got speed everywhere. They're not throwing to their tight ends.
Tyler can run RPO. You got RPO.
Tyler, exactly. So who's going to be open in the middle of the field? If it's not Isabella going on a quick slant, it's going to be Kenyon Drake in my mind. And they didn't draft anybody or bring anybody in the offseason. Kenyon Drake, when he got to Arizona on a half PPR pace, he was pacing as RB4. So I'm not higher. I'm not putting him lower. I feel comfortable with him in that offense. I'm saying I think I feel comfortable with 4. My number 3 is the same as Dylan, Zeke. McCarthy supported a top 5 running back in Green Bay. They throw to it. Dak like Zeke. Zeke's paid. I see them not running him into the ground. So
exactly.
I feel comfortable.
That was the deal with the Devil when they signed him to the long-term deal. It was like, all right, we are going to run him into the ground. Like
100%.
So get a return on investment. I like the number 4 though. I think that Kenyon Drake. It's hard to predict, but I gotta say that for me, like he's a feel-good player because he was so disappointing in Miami and so many people hated on him, and then he gets to a new team and immediately takes off. I love that type of shit. It normally happens to former Vikings, but I like.
Yeah, that's my dark horse in my top 5. I went so many ways. I feel like if anybody on my team is going to have a regression, it'll be Aaron Jones, and it'll be in touchdowns. I think he can get more yards, but 19 touchdowns. Anyone, that's a lot. Like even Christian McCaffrey, I don't have him. I don't think he'll get 9. Like he tied Christian McCaffrey last year for touchdowns, and in my mind, it's beautiful when you see it, but so hard to predict touchdowns.
Yeah, with them drafting another running back, I mean, even if it takes that guy a while to develop, he's still going to take snaps away from Aaron Jones. Yeah. And they'll probably get him involved in the easiest stuff at the beginning, which I don't know what type of back he is. Is he a pass catcher or more like north-south guy.
He's a north-south guy. But the irony with the Packers is that Aaron Jones, within 10 yards of the goal line, over the past 3 years, no one is as efficient as Aaron Jones within 10 yards of the goal line. So to take a north-south running back, and the only thing I can think of is that Jamal Williams is going to be kind of pushed out of his timeshare, and he'll be more special teamsy, maybe even operate out of the slot because he's a really good pass catcher. And then they'll have A.J. Dillon to come in there and kind of spell Aaron Jones when he needs it. But I don't know what they're going to do. I don't.
No, I think Aaron Jones might have a small step back, but he's still going to be, a solid RB. Fringe 1, definitely solid RB 2.
Oh, agreed. 100%. But keep it rolling, Matt. Let's get to your top 2 now that you've had a little bit of time.
Yep. So in other words, let's all argue McSee or Saquon at 1 and 2.
Feels off day, man. I'm keeping Barkley.
I've got Barkley as my number 1. I don't know how you have it, Matt, but I for everything Dylan just said, I see him being like 1A, 1B. But at the end of the day, I don't see another 1,000 season for McCaffrey. That's where I would go. Like the idea that he's going to be amazing is still there, but the thought that he's going to rack up 1,000 rushing and 1,000 receiving, it's hard to believe. Even if the touchdowns stay, I can see 50 points coming off just because he might have 500 less receiving yards and 200 more rushing yards.
I have him flipped. That's because McCaffrey could lose 30% of his touches and still be above 300. Still be in the top 3 fucking people if he loses a third of his fucking – and he'll probably still mash a button, not as much. He just – the way Saquon's built, I feel like he has a lot more potential for next, 5, 6, 7 years. I feel like I don't think McCaffrey could keep this up for more than a year or 2 more. Just
he's more of a track runner, and Saquon's more of the long term.
He's literally coming out of his shoes. I don't even know how they fucking stay on.
You got a point. Like
it's cutting and everything. I would have to be lacing my ankles and shit. I don't know how the fuck.
I would pay to see Christian McCaffrey juke the shit out of you, man.
I would pay a ticket. I'd pay $20. $20 max, but I'd pay $20.
Dude, I would definitely tear one of these L's, whatever's going on.
The AC is going down.
One of the L's in my knee is going down.
Maybe both.
I started Ultimate Frisbee last October or something, and I made it about a month before I'm pretty sure I tore something. And I was like, well, obviously not in prime condition.
Where you walk off the field that's it, folks. That was my last game. Derek Jeter.
Leave your shoes on the sideline.
I know.
So while we were getting the podcast started and everything and kind of going through the pre-recording.
Waiting for me?
Yeah, I wasn't going to say
nice way of saying that.
I was trying to be kind, but waiting for you. Matt informed me that he picked up Gronkowski, and I said, I saw that, and I was about to veto it because I don't do waivers in the offseason. But there were some people that made sense. It's whatever, I'm going to leave that one going. But I immediately shut off waivers. So now we started talking about Gronk. Now he's a potential keeper for Matt, which is a good segue to just kind of break our state of the teams that we have right now. And
I want to bring up Matt's team here. Rip into the squad.
So he has Austin Hooper, who in Atlanta was on pace to be the tight end 1 last year. Truly tight end 1. But we're sitting here with Gronkowski, who is a potential keeper, and I just want you to run through your team, Matt, and just tell us who you're keeping and what you might be addressing in the offseason.
Ooh, I'm going to write this down.
All right. Pretty straightforward to be Barkley, Henry.
Okay. And Thomas, probably.
I keep Cup 2.
Man, that was tough.
That's a tough 3.
4. Cup and Thomas. So 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers. So after that,
you have 3 running backs and 2 wide receivers right now, for sure.
2.
Yeah, Mostert.
You're keeping Mostert?
I think is my 3rd running back.
Okay. That's
for what I got here. And then Gronk, and what else can I pick up after that?
Renfro?
So you can keep another running back,
or please keep Renfro.
Dude, I'm thinking. I would keep Renfro, other than I know for a fact I can pick him up as like a 9th round pick.
Okay, we'll see about that.
Oh yeah. All right, I'm moving up to 6 now. I'm going 6. You ready?
So you could technically, if you have 3 running backs right now, 2 wide receivers, and 1 tight end, you could technically, I'm not telling you to do this, but you could technically keep another tight end and a quarterback. You could keep any position right there. Because we allow it up to 4 wide receivers or 4 running backs and 2 of the other position, and then up to 2 of an extra position. So if you had Geltz as an example, because he's a really good example, he's got 2 tight ends he wants to keep. He could then try and add on another running back to do 4 running backs, 2 tight ends, and 2 receivers if he wanted to.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. Okay, yeah. Matt, I'm curious, why the apprehension over Tyler Boyd?
Dude, that's a good point. They get a new quarterback.
And they also drafted another receiver. Might signal the end of AJ Green.
And he's just so, he just always, I feel like, does a little better than you expect, like consistently.
Yeah. He's not that much far behind Kupp for me, honestly.
I feel like Tyler Boyd right now is where Tyler Lockett was last offseason when I decided when I was on the fence about keeping him or not. Because it was like he's clearly coming up, but he also catches 3 passes a game.
Yeah, but he usually catches those passes for like 40 yards each.
Yeah.
I guess the question would then be
or how much do you like Burrows?
Well, Burrows, and do you think that he's going to be operating the slot position for Burrow? And you've got Higbee and potentially Green on the outside. Because whoever's in the slot should be good in that offense. It's a Zach Taylor offense who came from the Rams who likes to use 3 wide receivers. And the slot receiver in that offense is Cooper Kupp, and Robert Woods. Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods in that offense are the most valuable pieces, and they operate mostly out of the slot. When Cooper Kupp goes to the outside, his production falls, and Robert Woods comes in to operate the slot. So it's very interesting to think about. But to Dylan's point, Tyler Boyd he's got that kind of trajectory.
He could be the future. I mean, I think he's the future number 1. If him and Burrows get rapport, then he will definitely be the number 1 receivers in Cincinnati for a while.
Well, the thing is, you could keep 3 and 3 if you've got you can keep 3 running backs and 3 wide receivers if you want.
That's probably the move then. 3 and 3, and then I got to do 2. I can't do 3, 3, 1 and 1.
You can.
Yeah, you could do 3, 3, and then 2 tight ends if you want.
Yeah, you can do 3, 3, 1 and 1 because you haven't mentioned your quarterback yet. I'm guessing you're sticking with A-Raj.
I don't want A-Raj. I was gonna try my hand at the draft, but if it's either A-Raj or
the playoff run in the Super Bowl didn't get you hyped on Jimmy G. You didn't like the play calling that was designed so he never threw the football? We'll win as long as he only throws it 8 times all game.
Yeah.
The beauty is, Matt, that you don't have to keep a quarterback if you don't want to. So if you did want to roll with Austin Hooper and Gronk, or you wanted to roll with Greg Zuerlein and Gronk, like you can.
What if I gave you?
I'm thinking about both of those players, but it's like,
you can draft Greg Zuerlein every year.
Maybe A-Raj sits on the bench and it's just like he has a Roger year,
Maybe. You got to keep Gronk, right?
Of course I'm going to keep Gronk.
Okay.
Man. Yeah. If I could get do you think someone would trade me for Brady?
You want Brady and Gronk? You want that Brady and Gronk connection?
Yeah, who's got Brady?
I don't think anybody's keeping Brady. Just to be honest with you, I don't think anybody's I think Geltz probably has Brady, and I would be.
Oh, Geltz would want like 4 first-round picks on him.
I'm sure he's going to watch this and text you immediately when this.
Yeah,
dude.
Well, it seems like you have work to do on your keepers, Matt. But at least you can.
I want Brady. I'm glad we had this conversation.
It's like you just have that. You have that 7th and 8th spot, or maybe just that 8th spot where you don't know what you want to do as far as the wide.
It's just the 8th spot because I'm keeping Gronk as the 7th.
Yeah, I mean,
after that, I got no idea.
Well, what about you, Dylan? Look at your team.
Oh boy.
So I'm going to make sure everybody is as transparent as possible here, including myself. And as the commissioner, I see who is designated as keepers on people's teams.
Yes, you do. Knowing
full well that is not set. So like I can see it, and it can be completely wrong. Instead of me telling people their teams, I'm wanting y'all to run through it to give us a little more context and color. Because right now I'm seeing somebody in your flex spot as a keeper, and I'm shocked.
Yeah, that flex spot has got some question marks. Mostly that running back 2 spot for me has question marks. So top down, Lamar Jackson. I think I'm going to be keeping that particular individual. Christian McCaffrey as well. And then I jump to wide receivers. I have to keep Juju because that's my boy. And I stuck with him through all of last year, and now he gets Big Ben back. It'd be just blasphemy to walk away from him now. And he's only 22 years old.
He's young.
Like, for God's sakes. And then I got to keep Godwin because he elevated to a top 5 receiver last year, and now he has Brady. And even though there's more weapons, he just seems like he's coming into his own, and Bruce Arians loves him. So
and he's the slot wide receiver for Tom Brady.
And if they he's the slot wide receiver for Tom Brady. And also, like, I think you could make an argument that he's the most raw, talented wide receiver Brady has thrown to since Randy Moss.
Okay,
not Antonio Brown for 2 weeks.
You put him over Mike Evans.
I would. At this point in their careers, I would rather have Godwin than Mike Evans. I think Godwin. Fair. Yeah, and I just think his physicality. I think him and Brady could really be a dangerous team, especially in the red zone. And then I think I gotta keep Diggs because I traded Le'Veon for him, and even though it breaks my heart that he plays for Buffalo now, he's still an excellent route runner. He's only 26. He's got that fiery attitude where you know he's gonna bring it every play. Yeah. And so he's just the type of guy where if I'm flipping through the highlights and I see Diggs got loose for a big touchdown, I want to be like, that's my guy right there. So I'm keeping Diggs. Let's see.
We know you're tight end. It's obvious.
Yep, I'm keeping Kittle. It's next going to George Kittle. Got to keep him. I love him. That's my guy. I paid 260 free agent bucks, and you all shat on me for a couple days.
I was only mad.
Laughing.
I was only mad because I drafted him as my tight end and then dropped him because I picked up OJ Howard, and it's the worst fantasy move I've ever made.
So, and the little backstory behind that is, and this might piss people off because it is honestly pure luck. His rookie year, the Vikings played the Niners week 1. And so I got to see him. He didn't make any big plays, so he didn't get on people's radars. But like 4 times he got behind our defense and Jimmy G overthrew him by like a step. And I was like, who is this guy? So I saw the potential there. So if that wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't have been on the George Kittle train because he was way off my radar. But like seeing him in that game, it's like this guy's going places. So now we get to the flex and the running back 2. So those are a solid 6, I think. Jackson, McCaffrey, Juju, Diggs, Godwin, Kittle. I
very
love
strong.
That. Very strong. And then it gets to kind of weird territory. So for running back 2, I got Marlon Mack. I also got David Montgomery. I also have Damian Williams, bitch ass.
T.Y. Hilton.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, just with the running backs. Because Damian Williams is so weird because it's like there's a million reasons why he shouldn't succeed, and yet he keeps – he'll keep having these huge games and he keeps that position in that offense. I know they drafted a new guy, but I don't know how long it'll take for him to steal that job or if he even will. So that's interesting. And then Marlon Mack, they got who did they bring in? Did they also draft another running back?
Jonathan Taylor. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Jonathan Taylor. So then that's like question marks, and he cannot catch the ball. But he still has a great offensive line. So they just pound him up the middle. They just pound it with him up the middle, and he gets there's games where he gets like 25 carries. And it's like, okay, and like 2 touchdowns. And then David Montgomery, good Lord. Just Matt Nagy had no idea how to use him, or that whole offense was just so dysfunctional. Like I have a cousin who went to Iowa State, so he was hyping up David Montgomery all off season. Yeah. And it just never came together, except for those like 2 random weeks at the end of the year.
Yeah, he was the most elusive running back coming out of college. Yeah, well, I mean, to your point about people on the bench, Odell was on my bench at the end, and that was the only time he did good. So I'm not sorry you put David Montgomery on your bench and he did good.
Yeah. There's also T.Y. Hilton, which new quarterback, and he's a gamer. And he's one of those players where even though he's old, he doesn't look old. He still plays young. Yeah. I think that even though he's had some durability issues because he's not a big guy, I could still see him having a pretty long career, just kind of sticking around. He's a great route runner.
Well, he said this year is his last.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah, he said after this year he's planning on being done.
Okay. All right. Well, then, that's interesting. Well, then that almost can be used. That's the double-edged sword, because in a keeper sense, it doesn't make sense to keep him. But if this is his last year, he's going to be going all out. Like,
and Phillip Rivers just throws the ball downfield.
And he's got an offensive line that can protect him and let him throw the ball downfield.
Yeah.
So that's a really interesting one. Also, the Colts, because they didn't have a great year, they're going to be playing like a third place or a fourth place schedule this year. So I don't know. I like Ty. And then there's a couple lesser guys like Michael Gallup. I don't know. I know he has great games. What's going to happen with CeeDee Lamb?
Yeah.
And also just that offense in general. How much can you feed Zeke and who's the wide receiver?
Amari.
Yeah, Zeke, Amari, and you also got these wide receivers. You got this new rookie wide receiver who everyone's going to want to see on the field. I don't know.
I've got Blake Jarwin still. The beauty about the Cowboys, the reason I'm still fairly high on the Cowboys is because they retain their OC, even though changing the head coach. What's his name? Moore.
Matt, or not Matt Moore. That was a quarterback.
No, that was the quarterback. But yeah, he's going to stay there as the OC, so the offense should technically evolve, not regress. Technically, who knows?
Yeah. So yeah, I guess, and then I do have I got Kyler sitting there on the bench, which it sucks because it's like with Lamar, obviously he's the number one quarterback fantasy wise. I have to keep him, but I think Kyler is set up for a great year. He was 10th at the position last year. Now he gets an extra weapon. Like you said, the Kenyon Drake adds just kind of a threat from the running back position, and also a threat who works well in a spread situation.
Exactly.
Everything is set up for him to succeed.
Kenyon Drake running in the outside zone with their upgraded offensive line, because they upgraded their offensive line in the draft. They got top in the offseason. Yeah, I think Kyler's poised to have another at least top 10 season.
Having Larry Fitz and DeAndre Hopkins as your two wide receivers for a young quarterback is terrific. I mean, that's a great 1-2 punch. So that's pretty much my squad. It's really that RB2 and that flex where I've got Mack, Montgomery, and Hilton, and maybe an argument for Gallup. That's just that's where I'm at. I also got Emmanuel Sanders, who could be great down in New Orleans, but I don't know if I'm willing to keep him. That sounds like a draft pick to me.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. If you were leaning to keep Emmanuel Sanders, I'd probably have to question your sanity, but that's just
yeah, I mean, if he was the man in Denver, and if a week before the season Michael Thomas gets a DUI or something and it's just Emmanuel Sanders, because the thing is, this is definitely Drew Brees' last ride.
Oh yeah, he's not coming back after this.
No.
Yeah, he doesn't say that.
So it feels like Emmanuel Sanders, because of the way that he got a rapport with Peyton almost right away, and him and Peyton were like on the same. I just feel like he's the type of receiver who works well with veteran quarterbacks, and like they're gonna get on the same page quick.
Yeah, they just know the game. They know how they're thinking. Yeah, I agree with you there.
So that's my squad.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll hop right into my squad because I know I've been talking trades with a few people in the offseason. And to be completely honest with you, there's part of me that wants to go 4 running backs and 2 wide receivers. Because at the running back position, I'm sitting here with Aaron Jones, Miles Sanders, Kenyon Drake, and Austin Eckler. And those 4, in my opinion, are all top 15, 16 guys.
You still got Hunt, too.
I've got Carry-On. I've got Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
I've got Darrell Henderson Jr. for the Rams if he turns out to be that guy in the Rams.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not high on necessarily on any of them. I love Kareem Hunt because he was my guy in college who I scouted in college, said, this guy's going to be great. I took the risk on him in the second round in that one draft with us, and he turned out great for us. He's obviously not the same situation, kind of weird in Cleveland right now, so I'm not sure that I'll keep him unless some trades come through that just make sense. But with the 4 running backs that I'm sitting on, Aaron Jones, Miles Sanders, Kenyon Drake, and Austin Eckler, they're all poised to get a lot of touches. They're all poised to be featured in the backfield. Those guys are they're talented guys. They're in good situations. They're all relatively young. No one's creeping up on that 27-year-old, 28-year-old breaking point.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, so it's hard to get away from those guys. But
you're also keeping a bench spot every week.
Yeah, I'm keeping a bench spot, but it would be a little bit easier to know that I've got got the flexibility or potential.
Yeah, you've got 4 solid ones, so every week you can have 3 out there unless they double up on a bye. But no, I get the logic behind it. It's some people I feel like could argue against it just on that alone, but I think all 4 of them you could argue or could be looking at top 10 running back seasons.
Yeah, yes.
Miles Sanders maybe fringe top 15 just because the way Philadelphia does their thing, but I mean that's a solid running back group right there.
Yeah, and the reason I'm higher on Miles Sanders than a lot of people is just the pass catching. What a lot of people look at a lot of times what I look at with running backs coming out of the draft is their athletic profile, their spark score. To give you reference, like David Johnson and Saquon Barkley have had some of the highest athletic scores that we've ever seen coming out of the running back position. Miles Sanders scored 1 point lower than Saquon, and no one talked about it. And the one person Saquon always mentioned in all of his interviews during his rookie years was Miles Sanders. Him honest at Penn State. And I'm not that he is Saquon or he's on that level.
No.
He's a great pass catcher. Philly loves throwing to their backs, and Miles Sanders is on a team where they only have a tight end to throw to. Like, they've got the new rookie receiver. They've got all these other receivers that haven't proven themselves. They shipped what's-his-face out to the Raiders, the guy that couldn't catch. I forgot his name. And then they have an injured Alshon. So it's like, where is the opportunity coming from? They might sign a veteran running back, which I'm still okay with because I think Miles Sanders could truly be an efficient running back and make it do. Now, that being said, I think he's anywhere between like running back 8 and running back 18. Like, I don't see him creeping up higher than 8, and I don't see him falling lower than like 18. So he's not the range to put Kenyon Drake in. He's not the range that I would put Aaron Jones or Austin Eckler in. But I definitely see the value. And then if I went that strategy, it would be Odell and Amari that I would be keeping. I'm going to keep Carson Wentz.
I think that's pretty straightforward. I think they're, Odell and Amari are clearly the top 2 wideouts that you have.
Yeah, and I think Odell's going to bounce back. I think Stefanski's going to be able to make that offense a little bit more efficient and kind of get Baker into an idea of routine and rhythm with the passing, because I see a lot of Kirk Cousins and Baker Mayfield. If you get him in the pocket and you get him a 3-step drop and you make sure that ball is coming out of his hands, he's going to have people to throw it to. So somebody's open.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz and Darren Waller would round that out for me.
Okay. 4 running backs, 2, and then Carson Wentz and Keep and Waller. That's fair. Yeah. And then hoping to try to get Terry McLaurin again in the draft.
Yeah. Either that or I'll trade a running back away in the offseason because all of my trades that I've been talking about, as you could imagine, are going to involve one of my running backs. Because
I was going to say, I mean, not even your top 4 running backs, but even the other 2, Kareem Hunt and Kerryon Johnson, could be trade bait for somebody who really needs a running back. Yeah. Geltz.
Well, now that's a fair point, but I would say that Geltz is targeting my top 4, and I'm fine with it.
Geltz always goes for the top. He wants McCaffrey all the time. I get it.
Everybody
bringing a pick from next year.
Hey, well, everybody wants McCaffrey, to be fair. But no, as I have it right now, though, I am 3-3. The 4-2 strategy has just recently popped into my head, just because I know where the strength of my team lies and how I got to the championship. But as of now, my keepers are set. I've got it set as actually not keeping Aaron Jones. I'm keeping Miles Sanders, Kenyon Drake, and Austin Eckler. And keeping my 3rd wide receiver with Terry McLaurin. Now, this is all kind of because I've got so many running backs to actually make a decision on, and the news about them comes out every day to seem like kind of sway me one way or another.
Yeah. I was thinking about McLaurin. That was the other way to go, though.
It's really hard for me to let go of McLaurin because I believe in this kid's talent. He's another kid that I looked at in college. I paid attention to. I actually saw him play live. And a lot of people don't realize that Terry McLaurin was the 2nd wide receiver in Ohio State's history, either 2nd or 1st wide receiver in Ohio State's history to be named as a team captain. And that said a lot coming from Ohio State. I mean, I think the only other one might have been Chris Carter. I mean, you're talking about a guy that has tremendous character. Everybody thinks he's built for speed, but don't realize he's 210 pounds. Like, the guy's stacked. Like, 4'3". He's built like Chris Godwin. Like, I mean, I just don't know the quarterback play. Ron Rivera makes me feel a little bit more comfortable, and it could be a long-term play because he is a little older. He came out as a senior. I think McLaurin's a year younger than Amari Cooper, and Amari Cooper has 3.5 years in the NFL. So that makes it a little tough, but I love Terry McLaurin. Like, I'm like one of the largest Terry McLaurin fans that I know. So it's tough when I talk about going 4-2.
Yeah, it just sucks that you don't trust the organization. You know, how can you trust the situation? It's the talent is clearly there, but you're relying on Dwayne Haskins getting that pigskin out there.
And that's like the double-edged sword is Dwayne Haskins, because he's got tremendous arm talent, and he threw 50 touchdowns in college. He literally threw 50 touchdowns in college. And who was he throwing to? Terry McLaurin. Like you stack that, and you're like, this has to work out to some degree. But then you look at the team and you say, well, they've got probably the best defensive line in the NFL. Probably got arguably some of the best at least safeties in the NFL. So, like, realistically, their defense should be able to stop teams. So how much are they going to be throwing? How much are they going to be throwing deep, which McLaurin really eats at? So I don't know. I'm leaning towards McLaurin because I love the kid, but I'm also not oblivious to the effects of the Redskins.
I'm sold, though. If you don't want him, what do you want for him? Because I'll take him over Boyd now. Shit.
That's the thing. Like
would you trade Boyd for McLaurin straight up?
Yeah.
But see, I don't think I'd take Boyd for McLaurin.
I wouldn't either.
And that's not me being down on Boyd as much as it is me being down on Zach Taylor, because I looked at that offense last year and he tried, and I just like Tyler Boyd. If he gets the volume, he's going to be a top 12 wide receiver. If he gets the volume, that's the only thing. I think Joe Mixon's coming out here.
What if Burrows comes out throwing bullets, looking like the next Peyton Manning, and then Boyd's going to be getting lots of production?
I just have to ask, like, are we talking about Boyd being the guy over Ross, AJ Green, and then Higgins? Because there are arguably at least two other people that should be targets. And then what happens to the tight end position? Because Burrow throws the tight ends, and
that might be too much.
The ball, and
Eifert.
Giovanni Bernard's there.
They still have Eifert in Cincinnati?
I think they signed him to a year-long deal.
Okay.
Yeah, I love McLaurin. Like, that's the thing. Like, my bias towards McLaurin clouds my judgment in some areas, and I can admit that. But I see the upside there, and I see the connection with the team. And it's like, who else do they have? They've got Darius Geis. Okay.
Yeah.
They've got the running back that they drafted, or they drafted him as a wide receiver who will be a running back, Antonio Gibson, I believe, out of Memphis. They've got Kelvin Harmon. They've got the white kid that runs the slot. That
that kid.
I don't know who I don't know who they're throwing to. Like, there's no one else there.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I think that Boyd and McLaurin are kind of in a similar position. I think they have the opportunity, but then they're also held back by organizational factors. So we'll see where that's the argument.
Yeah, that's the argument for Boyd. You know, you see a couple years of success for Boyd, and that's why it's like me saying I wouldn't do it straight up might sound stupid to people, because I understand, like, Tyler Boyd has put up top 12 weeks, multiple weeks in a row. 2 years now, and he's shown that he can do it with AJ on the field or with AJ off the field.
Yeah, he's dependable for sure.
He is. Yeah. He's a very good receiver in the NFL.
And I get that McLaurin's your boy, because that's kind of how I feel about Juju. Like, even if Ben wasn't coming back next year, I'd probably still keep him. I'd want to. So because he's just so young, and you think even after Ben retires, I think he's just got the talent. I mean, we'll see, but I know what you mean, where it's like sometimes when you get a player young and he's just like, it's hard to let him go.
Yeah. I've actually come closer to trading Amari Cooper this offseason than I have Terry McLaurin.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, like, if I've said on anybody who asked me on my trade block, I will trade Aaron Jones is on my trade block. I've had Amari Cooper on my trade block. Austin Eckler's been on my trade block. The only reason I'm keeping Miles Sanders with confidence is to do the stack. If Carson throws to Miles Sanders, that's 12 points for me. And I think
so if you keep McLaurin, what running back are you not keeping out of the four?
That's the thing. It would be the best offer I got. That's it. Like I've talked to people about trading Aaron Jones. I've talked to people about trading Miles Sanders, and I've talked to people about trading Kenyon Drake and Austin Eckler. I have said
my gut tells me if you had to let one go, Seth, I think you'd let Kenyon Drake go.
Dude, he loves Kenyon Drake.
I mean,
yeah, but he loves Miles Sanders, and Austin Eckler kind of worked out for him pretty well last year.
Jones on the trade block, though.
Well, I was trying to trade with Leo, and he was talking about Aaron Jones and Austin Eckler, and even now, if Leo came to me and said, I'm reconsidering that deal, both of those would still be on the table. Okay. Kenyon Drake's on the table as well. I think higher of him than I think of Aaron Jones and Austin.
Wow. Higher of him than Aaron Jones?
Well, it's more just because of the offense. I'm not saying any of them is like head and shoulders above the other. I'm saying this to give you an idea of my trade block, because all 4 of them have been on the trade block and in potential trades in the offseason. None of them have been safe from that. I see him top 16 guys. Like I could have 3 top 16 guys or 4 top 16 guys.
And in a 10-person league, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, and it's a luck of the draw. You know, I traded Jacksonville Jaguars defense to get Kenyon Drake, and that was
that's crazy.
But that was the week before Kenyon Drake got to the Arizona Cardinals, and I did it because Geltz needed a defense. I needed just a filler running back, and I thought Kenyon Drake was going to the Lions. Like all the rumors were that Kenyon's going to the Lions. And I'll give you Jacksonville's defense, and they were doing good at the time. And so it worked.
Yeah.
And then he went to Arizona and did well, and I'm like, well, shit, like, is he a keeper now? And the more research I do, I'm like, yeah, he should probably be a keeper. So I don't know.
Do we have any way of finding the original? I mean, unless we just ask everybody and they remember, like a copy of the original draft, or like
you can go through the league history.
Okay.
So ESPN allows you, if you go to home.
I would love to go through some of our draft picks from back then and see how they worked out. Specifically, Corbin taking Allen Robinson when Le'Veon was still on the board.
It would be awesome if we could have the time to like compile a draft recap for every year. But you can do it. You can go on to League Home, and on the top right near the league manager's poll, you can change the year. And if you go you can go through the draft and look at literally pick by pick.
Okay.
It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that was a fun draft. I remember like the last 6 rounds, I just went Vikings players.
I don't remember much else. But Cam Newton was a Superman that year, man.
Dude, Cam Newton was a stud. And I mean, you talk about that draft, and then you look at this past draft and what teams were in what positions. I mean, no one thought Josh's team was going to be competitive this year. I didn't. And then he was in the championship and probably had the edge to win until Aaron Jones busted a breakout run.
That brings me to one thing I wanted to mention, Seth, can you take me through where you were and what your reaction was when he busted that run? Because I was watching it with my Vikings friends. They obviously all got pretty bummed, and I got bummed too, but I knew I was like, somewhere Seth is losing his shit right now.
It was pretty amazing. So I was in Corbin's man cave, which is his basement, and he was like, nah, come on, watch the championship with me. Like, it's okay. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. We'll just have some beers, whatever. And in my mind, I'm thinking, like, I'm going to go over there. I'm going to jinx myself. I'm going to lose the championship. And I'm going to be this close, and I'm never going to make it again. Fuck. Like, this is, like, what I'm thinking. And so –
So you had an existential crisis.
So I'm over there, and the game's happening. Aaron Jones is doing okay. And it's like, man, he's having an okay game. But,
he's doing okay.
I need him to get 40 points. Like, I need him to get 40 points. And so the whole time, I'm thinking, like, have an okay game. We get to the third quarter, whenever it was, and Aaron Jones cuts that outside zone to the left, and I'm like, all right, he's going to get 15 yards. Just drive and get a touchdown. Please, dear God. And he keeps going. And I'm like, I'm not breathing. Corbin's saying anything. I don't check the scores during the weekend, so I never know if I'm winning or losing. I always have an idea, but I don't look at my fantasy football score. And so when he goes around, like, my eyes are getting big. I know if he scores his touchdown, there's probably 98% chance I'm winning.
Yeah.
I'm standing up and Corbin just is like, dude, you won with that run. And I'm flipping out. Now, the best part about it for me, though, hands down, was Maryland. Because he immediately texted me, dude, congrats. That's awesome. Blah, blah, blah. And I text him back, and I'm like, looks like I'm renaming your team. He had no idea he was the phallic feaster. And so for me particularly, I think I've told you all that I designate rivalries in the league.
Yeah.
So every year, the first week is a rematch of the last year's championship. And for everyone else, you're playing your rival, be it interconference or out of the conference. So
okay.
So Maryland is my rival in the league. So it's just ironic that I get to rename his team this year. So I don't know. That was the best part for me. I flipped out. Maryland congratulated me. I immediately informed him that he was the phallic feaster, and he goes on his diatribe to the league of how postseason shouldn't count for the loser of the league.
Yeah, I remember that.
He's like, I need to see the rules. Where are the rules? And then we show him the rules, and he's like, when are these rules? When were these formed? And we're like 2 years ago. Here's the date on it. And he's like, I didn't vote on this shit. It went on for 2 days, man.
Easily the best part. I'll never forget that moment.
Who's my rival and who's Matt's rival? Are we rivals?
Yeah.
No, Matt's rival is Corbin.
Matt's like, you're goddamn right we are.
No, Matt's rival is Corbin because Corbin and Matt wrestled when Matt and I lived together, and
I need a rematch.
Matt was convinced that he could keep up, and both times Corbin whooped his ass in wrestling. And I remember it because Matt was drunk and Corbin was drunk and I was reffing, and I was just like,
oh God,
this is nonsense. The Hemp Hill House. Dylan, your rival is Leo.
Okay, that was my next guess. That's fair. We're keeping the rivals even though we switched around the conferences?
Yeah, so we switched conferences, but the rivals will stay the same. So
nope.
Schedule, I think I sent it to everybody. Did y'all get it? Did you see the schedule? It's live on the league. If you look at your schedule on 2020, the year 2020 in the ESPN league.
I got 100 days to check it out. I'll take a look.
Maybe more.
Yeah, you got some time.
Fingers crossed.
Come on, don't do that to us, man.
I know. I'm sorry. I have to brace myself for the
fantasy
high aspirations, low expectations.
Yeah,
huh?
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
We'll have to do fantasy UFC or something. Just girls though. We're only doing the girls league. Just watch girls beat the shit out of each other every week and bet on.
They have 2 fights a year.
Oh yeah, girls.
Yeah, fighters in general don't usually fight more than 2 or 3 times a year.
I mean, it's up to them really, but it's hard to fight more than that because most can go to the hospital and need time.
Yeah, they break eye sockets and shit, dude.
Yeah, but some of them are named Yoel Romano and they just can't be hurt.
Yeah, they're just insane. Like Ngakwe, that's just untouchable.
That was on the Rogan podcast. They took Yoel to the doctors and he had to get his eye checked out for something. He's like, "Where do you find this fucking dude?" He's like, "What?" Is yeah, there's retina connective tissue behind his eyes 4 times larger than a normal person's.
4 times denser.
Denser?
Yeah, that he was saying that that guy's from Cuba, and Cuba's legitimately done experimentation on humans and stuff. So he could very well be the product of a human experiment. He's like, all of his bones are a multiple of at least 2 times denser than normal human bones. These ligaments are so much thicker. The muscles dense. It's insane. Those types of people.
That's weird.
Seems unfair.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, back to the topic at hand. The schedule has been set. Everybody. No, it's as fair as I could make it. I honestly, there's nothing that's that one team has the other team doesn't get. There's instances where you might have 2 conference games and then a break, and 2 conference games and a break, and repeated through a while where some people have 4 conference games straight. But when you talk about making the schedule between 10 teams, it's just pretty much a massive Sudoku puzzle. And I got it as close to correct as I could. So any issues, feel free to contact me. I made sure no one's playing the same team twice within 3 weeks. So there's nothing funky. But it is kind of dicey. Where, like I said, you might see a team having 4 conference games in a stretch and then having nothing after the end of the season, where somebody might have consistent conference games spread out evenly throughout the season, only because that's how it has to work to make it doable, where you play your conference twice, you play the other conference once.
Okay, that's fair. I guess before we end the podcast, can we go through our top 5 running backs just one more time, because I forgot where everybody was at.
Yeah, let's do it.
I don't know if I ever chose an official number 5. And let's see. I'm feeling a little dangerous. I'll go first. I'm going to throw the Hail Mary. I'm going to say Josh Jacobs ends up at number 5. Just volume and just stupid Raiders offense is just going to – he's just going to get – and then I got Dalvin, Zeke, McCaffrey at 2, and Saquon at 1.
I actually can see the Jacobs thing coming through if the offense goes like Gruden wants it to.
Yep.
I definitely can see that.
He talks him up all the time. It's like,
all the time.
Do is give it to Jacobs. So if he can catch the ball more, let's go.
That's what they need to do, get him involved in the passing game. So, I know Geltz is hoping for it. So I've got Dalvin at 5. I've got Drake at 4. And honestly, those can be interchangeable. The more I think about it, I probably should flip those. But I'm going to keep it. Dalvin, Drake, Zeke, McCaffrey at 2, Saquon at 1. As of right now, those are the guys that I'm looking at top 5. And I would honestly argue that the back half of that, so like the back 3, probably could be, for me, just flip-flopped any other way, where the top 2 are clear.
Yeah, I feel like when I look through most lists, like Pro Football Focus or whatever, it's like 5 through 10, any of those guys could get that 5 spot. Like 5 through 10 is a lot of great opportunities. You're just not sure who's going to rise to the top. 1 through 4 is pretty, or at least definitely 1 through 3 or 4 is pretty predictable. But 5 through 10 is an interesting group of players.
Very. What about you, Matt?
We start with 5 or 1?
5.
You start with 5 and work down.
All right, I've changed it already. Henry, Eckler, Elliott, Barkley, McCaffrey.
Nice.
I like that you toss Eckler in there, man. I think he –
yeah.
I had to reassess, man. I was looking at him. I was like, I might be overselling Kamara.
He's one of the most interesting players in the NFL. I think that Eckler – so he was on a podcast that I listened to recently, and they were interviewed asking him about his deal. And one thing I found very interesting about his deal is that they didn't sign him to a running back contract. They signed him to an offensive weapon contract, which automatically, he's going to be in the slot just as much. He's going to be getting carries just as much. So if you're talking about a guy who's received over 100 targets as a running back, and they plan on continuing that with the same head coach who loves running backs, I can see where you'd put him in the top 5. Like if he's going to catch 80 balls and then have 150 carries, if he just has 150 carries and it catches 80 balls but has 110 targets, the dude can legitimately be top 5 in a half.
I think he definitely has the talent. His running style and also just I don't know, the way that he seems to carry himself and just his mentality, he seems like he's just a rugged guy who's going to keep battling. He was number 2 forever, and now he's number 1 finally. I don't know. I feel like I can see him having some big games this year.
Well, he's actually he's got a rugby background, which I think helps him.
And that makes sense when you watch him run. Yeah, honestly.
And I think that helps him in the passing game too, because of all the tosses and passes and whatnot in rugby. So I can see him being around number 4. I wouldn't put him higher than 4, but I can see him being in that conversation.
Yeah, San Diego doesn't have much else, or LA doesn't have much else going for it, so I feel like they're going to lean on him a lot. Their team is basically, they still got that really good defense, right? Yeah. So they're going to want to win low scoring games and win time of possession. I think they're going to lean on him a lot.
I agree. And I just want to, in the last, let's say, couple minutes, I do get that Kamara, because it is funny how podcast we all left him out of the top 5, and I don't want to diss on Kamara, because I do think that he's incredibly talented, but I have just begun really thinking he's not as durable as people believe, and I didn't think that initially, because I thought he might be on that Kareem Hunt scale of elusivity and then also durability, because when you look at Kareem Hunt, he's extremely durable and he's also one of the most elusive backs. And I compare them because they came out of the same draft class. Mm-hmm. Kamara, I think, is elusive enough to be that guy. But I really am not sure in that division and the people that they play that he can – that if he gets connected with a few times, he's durable enough to continue out at a 20 touch per game pace.
Yeah. Something about last year really concerned me when he was having games where he pretty much just like disappeared or just didn't seem to be part of the game plan. Like Sean Payton doesn't do things without a reason.
Exactly.
Why did Sean Payton all of a sudden stop using him as his main X factor weapon like he was being used his rookie year? I don't know. Like, it just felt like that down the stretch kept happening. And then even in the playoff game when we played them, he had no big plays. Like, he wasn't even on the whole game. I was like, where's Kamara? Like,
my underlying question I'm sorry for cutting you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, Matt, no, you were going to say something too.
Oh, maybe it's as simple as this is Breeze's last year. He just wants to sling the ball, and he feels confident enough. Why not let him?
My biggest fear for Kamara, and it's kind of the same fear that I have for a lot of the quarterbacks or running backs with running quarterbacks. Look at Mark Ingram as a really good example with Lamar Jackson. What happens? Let's say Kamara has this great year this year, and he does finish in that top 5. Number one, his rookie contract's about to expire. And Sean Payton, to Dylan's point, is one of the most intelligent offensive minds in the league. So
he's a son of a bitch, but he's a good offensive coach.
Exactly. So if he sees value, if he sees value in not paying the running back, letting Kamara walk to get paid, then Kamara ended up in a Le'Veon Bell situation with Adam Gase as his head coach and no hope in the offense. And now it's a completely different conversation. But if he does get re-signed in New Orleans and Sean Payton is still there, Breeze is gone. And Taysom Hill is going to run it a lot more than checking it down to Kamara. Like, I don't see Kamara in that same light with Taysom Hill because Taysom Hill is either going to take off or he's going to sling the rock, where Drew Brees is going to sit there and say, I'm not going to get hit. Kamara. Jared Cook.
And they got the receivers to do it. They can win a game just throwing to Michael Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders all day.
100%. 100%. And look
I think there's a lot of risk with Kamara.
And Sean Payton has a way with, once again, creating space. It's one of the reasons I like Kenyon Drake, because he has a coordinator or a head coach calling plays that create space for players that are great in space, and that is Kamara. So I'm with you. I think he's like between 6 and 10 for me.
All right. Well, I guess that covers most of what we wanted to cover. Last thing I would say is it was really enjoyable to watch the draft and get a little bit of new sports. I don't know if I've ever had that much fun watching the draft. It was also interesting to see the people in their houses and stuff. It was just different, and I liked it. And I think that there's a lot of younger players that got drafted who actually can make a fantasy impact pretty early. I know last year was kind of a dud year for fantasy impact rookies. I think this year could be different. I think there's a lot of good situations there.
Yeah, I'm with you. This might set a record for the most rookies that make a fantasy impact ever. Like, just the amount of talent coming off on the offensive side.
The first round of the draft is going to be fun.
It is. It's going to be interesting to see how many trades happen before now and then, too.
Yeah, like Matt said, we still got 100 days, so.
Until next time, but I do appreciate y'all taking the time to hop on the podcast with me. I'll
Definitely.
put this out within the next 24, 48 hours. And if anybody's watching, shoot me suggestions, leave some comments. If you have ideas for the next podcast itself or or a number of guests, let me know. I'm open to make this thing work for everybody.
I'd be happy to do another one and maybe a different combination too. Get Geltz in here or Maryland or whatever. I'd be more than happy to do another one. This was fun.
We'll set it up and we'll get it going. But thanks again. I hope you both have a good night. And Dylan, stay safe in Minnesota.
I will. See you, man.
Oh, shit.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.